Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll show you how to write a macro. Um, and this macro is going to be inserting an index sheet in any file that you want. So I'll explain what I mean. So if I insert a few sheets here, now there are these many sheets in the file, and the more sheets you have in the file, the more difficult it becomes to navigate through them. uh, what if you had an index of sheets, and you could click the hyperlinks and go to the sheets? That would be a great idea. So I created a macro for that, and I'll show you how to create such useful macros. They are very people believe that they are very difficult to write, but I think they are very simple to write, and you can learn it in no time. So let me show you how the macro works. So in this workbook, we have so many sheets, and I have created this macro and added a button to my quick access toolbar from where I'm going to run it. So if I run it, it creates a new sheet called underscore underscore index underscore underscore, and then it creates an index on that sheet. If I insert more sheets after that, so I'm pressing Shift 11 to insert more sheets. I can just click this macro again, and it will update the index sheet. So I have now these many sheets for my index. I'll delete some sheets, and let us see if it updates, if the macro updates the list, and it updates it. And if you click any of the links, you can go to that particular sheet, right? So I'll show you how to write such useful macros. What I'll do is, instead of writing it before you, I have written it earlier, and I'll go through line by line and explain what the macro is doing. So the macro starts with this main macro, which I have named main, and it calls two macros inside it. And those two macros are here. So the first macro is just below the main macro, and the second one is here below the first macro, right? So this macro, when it is run, it calls this macro first. So this macro runs, and after it has run, it goes back to the second macro in the list, and then this macro is called, and then it goes through this macro and does something and comes back to end sub and ends it. So that is the main macro. Now let us see how it works. So what we can do to test macros is we can run them line by line and see how they work. So I'll press F8 here. I'll keep my cursor inside main macro, anywhere inside main macro, and press F8. A yellow line appears, which means that the macro has started running, and you can see that it is running in break mode. So what break mode means is it runs line by line, and it shows you what is happening in Excel. So you can see the macro running here, and you can see what it's doing in the Excel. I'll run it. It calls up the first macro, so it goes here, and then this macro will run. So I take an object variable which is of worksheet type, and I call it worksheet WS, that is. And then I say on error resume next. Why I'm saying that is because if there is no index sheet, because I'm deleting this index sheet, whatever is there, I'm deleting it, the complete sheet. So if there is no index sheet, it will come to this line and it will not find the index sheet, so it will error out. To suppress that error, I'm writing on error resume next. So if error appears here, then it has to ignore it and go to the next line. Application display alerts equals false. I'm writing this line here, and then I'm writing this line here, making it this display property, the display alerts property, to true again. Why I'm doing that? If you must have seen, if you delete any sheet from Excel, it warns you before deleting. I don't want that warning to appear because I just want to delete the sheet. So I don't want that alert to appear, and that is why I'm writing display alerts equals false. It will delete the index sheet. So there is no index sheet now. And then this line on error go to zero resets this error handling code. And if there are any other errors in the lines next to these set of lines, then it will again pop that error up. Otherwise it will not suppress that, it will pop up the error message. So I'll go to the next line, and this says that sheets.add. So it adds a new sheet to the collection of sheets, and I am adding it before sheet 1. So whatever sheet is the leftmost sheet, it will add it before that, meaning that the new sheet will become the first sheet in the workbook. So I'll run it, and you can see it has added this sheet. The name of the sheet is sheet 22, but I'll name it as underscore underscore index underscore underscore. So it names it. You can see that. Then it goes to the next macro, which creates the real index for us. So it'll call it. And here I'm taking two variables. One is WS, um, and I'm taking it as an object. I'm not taking it as a particular type. I'm taking it as an object. Because you can have sheets, that is worksheets, you can have chart sheets. So if there was a chart sheet, um, the macro will not be able to create a link to that chart sheet, because chart sheets are such that you cannot have links to them. I'll show you an example. If I create a quick chart and move it to a chart sheet, so this is what a chart sheet is. And now if I go to a sheet and try to insert a hyperlink to a chart sheet, you will see that that chart one is not appearing here in the list of sheets. So you can't create links to chart sheets, and that is why I have taken this as an object, so that if there is a chart sheet, it doesn't fall over. It just handles it properly. So the next variable I'm taking is the integer variable. I'll use it inside the macro. So now I'm working with index sheet, which I've just created, and then I'm selecting it, so that making sure that index sheet is always selected. And then from D4, I'm starting my index. So I'll write go to sheets. So it appears here in the worksheet. And then I'm looping through all the collection of sheets here. And if I'm ignoring two sheets. One is if there is a chart sheet, I am ignoring it. And the second sheet that I'm ignoring is this index sheet, because I don't need it listed here. So I'm ignoring that. So it says if type name of this worksheet, which is the loop is running currently through, if that type name is chart, then if it is not chart, then do something. So it goes to the next line, because this sheet, index sheet, is not chart sheet. So first sheet is if we look at the name property of the first sheet in the loop, um, it says index. So this index sheet is it is running through this index sheet, and that is the name of the active sheet also. So it ignores that and goes to the next line. So it will start from sheet 1 actually. So it goes to the next loop, and then it adds 1 to the integer now I, because I have to list down all the sheets one after the other. So this integer will keep trace of what cells the values are being put in. So now I'm saying, so now I has 1, and then I'm saying from range D4, offset that D4 to one cell below, that is this, and one cell to the right, and type there the name of the worksheet. So it will type that here, and then I'm creating this hyperlink text in the next cell adjacent to that. So it creates this pound sign and this syntax so that my hyperlink function can work with it. So I'll explain it. So if I run the next line, it creates this hyperlink function, and this hyperlink function is taking two arguments. One is the location, link location, which is this F5, and the other argument is the friendly name, which is the sheet one. So this is the list I'm creating, and using the hyperlink function, I'm creating all the hyperlinks. So it goes to the next sheet. So next sheet is sheet 2. It will write that name here, and then it will create that syntax for hyperlink, and then it will insert that hyperlink function. So you can see it is very easy to write such code, and a very with the help of very few lines of code, you can create such useful macros. So it is not difficult to write macros. You just have to learn a few basic things, and then you can write them. So I'll run the rest of the macro, pressing F5, so that it runs it in one go, and it creates that sheet. So that is how the macro works. Now to use this macro, um, I will share the code of the macro in the description of this video. You can take that code and copy it into a module of your own. So you can go to your file, you can insert a module by inserting from here, and then in that module you can double click it and copy the code, and then you can create a button. So I'll show you how to create the button. I will remove this button from here. I will right click the quick access toolbar, and I'll customize it. I have shown you in a basics video how to customize the quick access toolbar. And if you have not watched that video, you can go there and watch it. So I'll select macros, and from this, I'll select the main macro which I have to run, right? So it'll add it here. I will add a separator, and I will move it up, and then I'll modify this button. I'll write create index. This will be displayed in the tooltip, and I will select an icon for that, and I'll click OK. So it creates that button. If you hover over it, it says create index, which is the tooltip. And then if you run it, it updates that. So if I insert many more sheets and go back to, or rather, I don't have to go back to it. I can just click the macro and it takes me to that index sheet, and it has updated my index. So as you can see, with very few lines of code, you can create a useful macro which you can use anywhere. I hope that helps. If you like the content on this channel, please subscribe to my channel and share these videos with others so that they can also benefit from it. Thank you for your time.